Welcome to this video. The most probable title of it will be Action Plan Nature Slams 2. History of collapses keeps on repeating itself because we do not understand or deny the root causes. It's a rather new subject, so some definitions would help, but I'm just forming the list, so I will skip it. So severe collapses. The collapses I refer to are much more severe than, for instance, the actual pandemic, which some call perfect storm, double threat, but the collapse is much more severe. The actual pandemic seems severe because we are so developed. Our society is so complex and consequently vulnerable. Until now, 0.1% of the world population died, and that is a very small percentage compared to collapses, compared to historic collapses, like for instance the Bronze Age collapse or the Younger Dryas collapse. Since we have a developed or complex society, if only one piece in the chain is missing, the whole chain is at risk of collapse. In the past, our societies were not developed and consequently were not complex and vulnerable. This is of course observations in relations to economy and is not directly linked to our actual health crisis. Root causes of severe collapses. History of severe collapses keep on repeating itself because consensus, most people, does not understand or deny the root causes. So we have climate destruction, which is very profound and much different and more severe than climate change. Climate change we understand as mostly industry releasing too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. While that very probably is an important, serious problem, it is not equal to climate destruction. So climate destruction is a root cause. But climate destruction took place very deep in our past, in our deep past. We just got aggravating it. Genome destruction is a root cause, and innate immunity destruction is a root cause. Biodiversity destruction is a root cause. But as said, they happened in the past. We don't recognize them that much. We recognize climate change, but we do not recognize climate destruction. All these root causes, destructions, are closely associated. As said, none of these root causes is really new. Some of them are inconvenient to talk about, which makes it, for us, more difficult to suspect or even recognize them. any solution or action plan will need to be associated with the root causes as well. Possibly one of the most extreme examples is the actual pandemic. For us, it is a threat and priority and essential to solve for very understandable reasons. And for the innate system of the herd, it is the emergency solution and consequently not the essence. For us, it is essence and it's the worst, but for the innate system of the herd, immunity, it is not the worst or the essential or the principle. So we are out of line with our innate immunity. And further, when one or when all humans focus all the time on one threat, one does not see the elephant, the severe collapse, the one that herd immunity sees. It does not see the elephant or the more severe threat, when that severe threat, since very long, keeps slowly growing in the room. Therefore, historic epidemics and ancient extinctions, collapses, show the root of a crisis and the real acute threat to extinction. If you look at the associations, you will see the root. When you see the root, you can start to see the solution. If you look at the associations in the 5 to 7 historic epidemics since Spanish flu in 2018, you will see the root causes and you will see the real threat. But you will see the root causes and the real threat even much more in the collapses since Younger Dryas extinction, Younger Dryas collapse, late Bronze Age collapse, etc. Medieval, Dark Ages. So health organizations clearly are detecting and trying to act. As early as 2010, again in 2015, 2016, 2019, we all know what happened then, and this has put the efforts in the refrigerator, but at least there was some effort in 2022. I didn't hear much about it because of all this focus on the actual pandemic. So who are the health organizations? Well, it's several. World Health Organization is amongst them. In all of them, I suppose. World Health Assembly. Well, somehow World Health Organization must be in all of them. Certainly in this one in 2010. And I know that World Health Organization had emergency meetings in 2016 and 2019. They're probably very much related to this diagram. Genome duplications is something from the deep past. As in the case of hybridization, is the cause of degenerative diseases, right here it's not the right moment to explain all of the associations and the pathways to regenerate. So for now I just show some diagrams, anagrams, as a kind of reconnaissance tour that could trigger your interest, could help later understanding and memorization. Because even if it's all logic and not really complicated, we're not prepared to understand it and to memorize it at all. In the regeneration pathways that we won't discuss here, transposable elements that are virus-like elements play a very important role, but we know very little about it. I mean, general public probably knows almost nothing about it, and scientists avoid it because it's not easy and it's not convenient. For that reason, a virus having the potential to work as a kind of primer or vaccine is difficult to accept. So this is too early, but duplication, genome duplication, is one of the causes that made us vulnerable for the problems we have now. But that's at least 4,000 years ago, probably much longer ago. For instance, it's small letters, Homo sapiens, and these are duplications, and they started like 16 million years ago, but they went on until, let's say, we appeared, Homo sapiens appeared. So that is what I mean. It is at least 4,000 years, but it started possibly 16 million years ago, and there are reports about starting much earlier than that. The same thing happens in primates. A burst of segmental duplications in the genome of the African great apes or primates. This is the diagram I was looking for, Homo sapiens, and these are all species considered to be related with us. In the past they were considered to be our ancestors, but that's not the case anymore. They don't say what it is, they say here is the ancestor that we have in common, that all these have in common. So to understand regeneration, we will have to understand all this, but it's too early. It should take me too much time. First we have to define the real threat, and if we are focusing too much on not the worst threat, it is about time that we open our view mind to detect it in time. So this is from a CDC official. Pandemic explosion of antibiotic resistance is not seen. Well, it's seen, but the public is probably not aware of it. It's seen by World Health Organization and other health organizations. When you observe a positive feedback or a vicious circle that leads to a problem, you know something has to change, because you cannot get out of a vicious circle without changing at least something. So as a candidate, but as also as an example, I will work on the thesis that plague is re-emerging. It's not my thesis, it's said by World Health Organization and scientists all over. And it has to do with the third great bubonic plague that started in northern China in 1855. So that's not so long ago, that's less than 2000 years. And in Australia we had plague as late as 1900, more or less before the First World War. And plague occurred in Sydney and in Australia until 1910, so that's just before the World War I. This are natural plague foci, where you have cases and where there is risk for infection. In 2016, provided by World Health Organization, you see this is the United States, this is Central, Southeast Asia, India, Africa, this is close to Europe, and we have international travel today, and we know historically that we are very vulnerable for it. Anyhow, it's all over the world except, it seems, in Oceania. Autism exploded before plagues re-emerging. Plague re-emerged, according to World Health Organization, in the early 1990s, and you see that autism exploded in the early 1990s. I will show that autism is associated with plague, also with COVID. They are all associated. So we have to understand that association. We cannot go on looking to the actual pandemic as something independent. Everything that I mentioned in this video is associated. If you want to solve it, you have to see the association and what they have in common, what is the root cause, and then you have to understand that root cause and solve that root cause. And to our luck, solving it would be very easy, probably difficult to believe, but that's where this series of videos is about. That's the action plan of the simple thing that will solve everything: actual health crisis and climate change and all other parts of the perfect storm we are in the midst of, and it's a vicious cycle. it has this positive feedback. You cannot get out of it without changing something, so you have to find out what needs to be changed to have it all going right. Signs they're direct. Yersinia pestis, which is plague, the plague bacteria, very resistant. A problem of the past and re-emerging threat. Signs direct. Wiley come. Plague as an emerging disease. Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. Yersinia pestis worldwide incidence has reached approximately 2,000 to 3,000, must be cases a year. And here it said, plague is recognized by public health experts as a re-emerging infectious disease. Re-emerging. Under exceptional circumstances, our cells produce a certain virus in mass to clean our bodies from degenerated cells. This will be hard to understand for most people. We're going to the root right now, and we're not used to even think that there is a root. So, under exceptional circumstances, our cells produce a certain virus in mass. That's pretty much an infection or an epidemic, to clean our bodies from degenerated cells in order to avoid infection by a very resistant, dangerous bacteria like Yersinia pestis, which is the plague, which is re-emerging. You see it all over. World Health Organization and other organizations are warning it is re-emerging. We should try to understand what is re-emerging. It's coming back, and there's nothing to stop it. For now, there is. But what stopped it for decades is antibiotics, and they were highly efficient, and they are losing this efficiency because of antibiotic resistance. This is how a cell makes a virus. It makes the particles and then kind of wraps it up and sends it out of the body. So this video, for whoever wants to see it, there are plenty of videos. Science is telling us that it's the cell that is producing the virus. The virus is not producing itself, it's our cells that are producing it. I have videos that go into detail into this. So transposable elements is something that we will have to study for several reasons. To understand, but also solve the root and solve the perfect storm, which is much more than the perfect storm CDC is talking about. So this is a threat. It's a fungi. At first sight, we were never infected by a fungi. Before antibiotics, because we simply were never affected by a fungi, and during the golden ages of antibiotics, which are over, we were not infected, because if someone was infected, surveillance would detect it, and control would solve it with effective antibiotics. This is an information of World Health Organization, deaths per million due to dementia. It's unbelievable. It's around, let's say, around 1,000 deaths per million. That's 0.1 percentage is dying because of dementia and Alzheimer in the United States, in Canada, in Western Europe, Scandinavia, in Australia. That is unimaginable. That's every year, and this 0.1% died of the global population died of the actual pandemic in 3 years. So just to have an idea of the magnitude of just one degenerative class of diseases, dementia and Alzheimer. If a person dies from COVID, he was probably suffering for days or for weeks. But a person that dies of dementia, that person and the whole family is probably suffering for years, if not decades. Why don't we focus on this? I'm not even talking about autism, because dementia formerly started in elderly, it's now in younger, but autism is relatively comparable and makes the person more susceptible for Alzheimer and dementia. And that's already exploding in 6 years old. 80% of the disease or problem is genetic. It's not degeneration that we theoretically could find out. What makes us degenerate? It's degenerating diseases. Well, the day we find it, this number will decrease, but it's only increasing for now. We clearly did not find it. This is another diagram of the plague folkie all over the world. Clearly important part of the United States. Okay, so plague was present 4000 BP. I said it has to do with duplications, it has to do with domestication and with hybridization. So I will stop this video for now. Maybe just show something about there's potential in viruses, because these are viruses that are killing in bacteria, but we cannot control viruses. At least for now we cannot. I don't exclude it as a possible therapy for bacterial diseases or epidemics after too much antibiotics become inefficient. Next video, an exercise simulating that our only threat is plague. It's clearly a threat because the organizations and scientists are warning for it, but there are others. I just focused on plague, and as a kind of an exercise I will focus on an exercise for the one that assists these videos to increase their understanding and to learn where the solutions lie. So anyhow, this is for next video. It's an exercise simulating that the only threat is plague, and what we can do, and I mention here rats, decrease rats in human populated areas and systems like sewers, but that will not be sufficient. So this will be the real action plan that will lead to the solution. And just to start somewhere, when we start the agroforest action plan, this will automatically decrease rats, but also solve all other threats. Because, as I said, decreasing rats and doing this and doing that will not solve the threat, because we don't solve the root causes, because we don't even know the root causes. Some people know, but it's not recognized by the 8 billion humans, and it's not recognized by consensus. So I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now. Bye.